We'll do it right here on the On Pattison Network. We'll go over play-by-play, the best and worst. Well, welcome everybody to the On Pattison podcast with Mike Missinelli and my partner, of course, Anthony Sanfilippo is with us. Good day in. How you feeling? You're not feeling well? I guess we're not hearing you.
I hear you fine, Mike. I don't know what that was. It was bleeding through.
That's all right. We got it. We're good. All right. So it is the On Pattison podcast with Mike Missinelli. This is a big show today. And listen, if you're watching us live, you can comment. Obviously, we'd love for you to join the chat. And we're on the On Pattison YouTube network, but also we're pleased to tell you that we're on all the major podcast networks as we speak right now. So if you're going to stream it, tell your friends and neighbors you can get it on all podcast networks, the Apple and Spotify and all that stuff. So this is a big day because the baseball free agency begins at 4:30, and we may be talking about some bids that come in hot and heavy for three major guys with the Phillies, Schwarber, Ranger, and JT, and we'll get to that in a second. But, Ant, we got to start with obviously a whirlwind week for the Philadelphia Eagles as they make trades that make them acquire three players, two of them cornerbacks, and Michael Carter second, Jair Alexander. But the big one, the big fish, the pass rushing end from the Miami Dolphins, Jalen Phillips for a third-round pick. Big acquisition for the Eagles. And, at this point, they needed that position. They got some guys coming back. So it looks like maybe they've got some depth there now.
Yeah, it seems like they got some depth, Mike. And, the one thing that I look at it and I say, look, Phillips to me is a good addition because I think that, he was playing some good football for the Dolphins, who were a bad team to begin with, right? But he was still playing well, and he's played for Vic Fangio before and played pretty well for him in Miami. And so the fact that Vic knows him and the Eagles were aggressive in getting him tells me that there's something that he really likes about him. So, like, that addition to me is the one that I'm impressed by. The other two, I'm like, okay. I mean, look, Jair Alexander, the Packers let him go after last year because of some injuries. He goes to Baltimore, where their defense is terrible. And so, as bad as their defense is, like, why would they want to move on from a guy who when their defense is as bad as it is, right? I mean, that's the one that's a little bit surprising.
Yeah. Here's the thing about the Eagles and their cornerbacks. It doesn't look like they have a plan. They have, like, they're spinning a wheel. They're at the Wildwood Boardwalk, and they're hoping it lands on Pop or Hun or something like that. But the D-backs now, I think they want Keely Ringo to grab the job, but for some reason he hasn't grabbed it yet. So here's who they have. They have Keely Ringo. They have Michael Carter the second, who's more of a slot guy. Jair Alexander is just a shot in the dark. I mean, there's probably I'm not feeling real good about it that he's going to have this massive resurgence. Jacorian Bennett and Adoree Jackson. That's a lot of guys that they have for a one position. And if you look at the ends now, Jalen Phillips added, Nolan Smith's coming back. They got Josh Uche, Alex Hunt, and Brandon Graham, and Patrick Johnson got released there. So right now they seem to be a little more deep at defensive end. And again, they're just flailing around at defensive back with all these guys trying to get one of them to learn the job, not knowing whether any of them can actually earn that job. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about the power rankings coming up. We're going to have Adam Caplan join us in a little bit. Adam Caplan from Inside the Birds knows a lot about the league, knows a lot about the Eagles, and he'll straighten out all these trades and where they stand right now with the Philadelphia Eagles. But let's get some comments that were heard about all these trades. Howie Roseman. The first one I want to play, though, is our pal John Clark, who is known as Johnny Airport, because he gets his inside information on when these particular players are going to arrive in Philadelphia. And I think I know who his sources are. But in any event, he shows up at the airport and he gets the first interview with these guys. So this is Johnny Airport, or as I like to call him, Johnny Sunshine. He gets to the airport and he tracks down Jalen Phillips. And here's how it went.
Just here.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Philly.
Yes, sir. Go
Appreciate
Birds.
your time. What's it like to be traded here to Philly and the defending champs and the 6-2 Eagles?
I mean, it's incredible. It's like I had no idea this was going to happen, but I mean, there's literally no other team I'd rather play for. Obviously Philly is a storied franchise, great tradition here, incredible team. So I'm just excited to get in, get to work with the guys, man. I'm super excited. It's going to be awesome.
And you had a lot of success with Vic Fangio for that year. What is the fit with Vic Fangio? Are you excited to be reunited with him?
Yeah, I love Vic as a person and as a coach. So like you said, I had some good success with him. Excited to get back into his system and play with the other guys on the defense too.
For Eagles fans, final question. What are you going to bring for this Eagles team in this city?
Oh, man, I'm just going to work my ass off. I'm going to, come in, be a humble worker, earn the guys' respect, earn the fans' respect, just come in and do everything I can to support the team. I want to be able to fly around and make plays. Yeah, literally fly around.
Best wishes to you.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Philly.
Yes, sir. Go
Appreciate
Birds.
your time.
There it is. Now, a couple of go Birds from the start and the finish. Go Birds. So he knows the routine down. This guy apparently is a very well-rounded type of individual. Apparently, he's an accomplished pianist. I think his parents are also accomplished pianists. So yeah, he's got the good hands, I guess, to get around those big offensive tackles. Sounds like a really nice kid.
Yeah, it's funny. It was funny. I didn't know that about him until you mentioned it before we came live on the show, Mike. And I apologize for dropping out there. I had a sound issue on my end. When you said it, I wasn't sure. When you said, "Oh, he's an accomplished pianist," I'm like, him or Big Dom? Like, I didn't know who you were talking about for a second.
No, Big Dom's fingers I don't think would be conducive to the piano keys.
But no, I really do think he's a great addition. I think that's a very fine move by Howie. And the fact that he had to give up a 3rd-round pick tells you that there was probably competition for Phillips' services, right? I mean, that's a pretty significant pick to trade for a guy. And so, like, I think that, the fact is the Eagles are a little bit more all in than maybe it looked like prior to that deal, because, like I said, Carter and Alexander, they seemed like fringy moves to me, but Phillips absolutely seemed like a move that Howie Roseman's like, we're still the best team in the NFC, and we're planning on going back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't like let's get the veteran who's been now cast off and hope that he has a resurgence. It very rarely works out for anybody. But, listen, if it doesn't work out, they can certainly cut him. Here's the interesting part about this. They gave up a 3rd-round pick. They're still very well stocked with picks. They still have, Anthony, 8 picks.
Yeah.
They have their number 1, number 2, number 3 from the Jets. They'll get another 3 from the compensation pick from Milton Williams. They have a 4. They also have a compensation pick in the 4th for Josh Sweat. They have a 5th, which is either San Francisco's or Atlanta's. And then they have another 5th as a compensation pick from Mekhi Becton. So, it's not exactly like he opened the cupboard and emptied everything out. He's still well stocked with draft picks to make future moves. And that's the beauty about Howie Roseman. So you got to give him a lot of credit. First of all, that Marcus Spears hates him. Let's get to that quote first from Marcus Spears, former Dallas Cowboy, ESPN analyst, who says he hates Howie Roseman. And here's why.
Latest Eagles edition is Howie Roseman just keeps stockpiling these guys.
I hate Howie.
That was coming.
I hate him. I'm so sick of him. I've been sick of him for a couple of years.
Go on.
And
that's a compliment, Howie. It's a compliment.
And Howie knows that. Howie know I don't hate him. I actually admire the way he goes after winning championships and does not wait. You think about the Eagles for the last 4 years, going to Super Bowls, having opportunities to win them. He's made a significant trade at some point in all of those seasons.
Well, there you go. He hates him, but he loves him, really, the way it comes down to jealousy, like all Dallas Cowboy fans and players, ex-players. They all have it. So let's get to Howie, because he had a lot of explaining to do, and he explained it pretty well. Let's first hear what he had to say, his take on Jalen Phillips.
All these guys, the process starts with college, and we spent a lot of time with him coming out of college, knowing the person. It's really easy to scout the player. Really, he's got freak ability. He can rush. He can set the edge. He can play in space. He's got a nonstop motor. I think one of the most fun things to do is put on his tape and watch his effort, And when you have the athleticism and the physical ability he has, with the effort he has. And then, just going and seeing that he was Walter Payton Man of the Year in Miami, the things that he does in the community. He comes from an unbelievable family. And then obviously Vic was with him, so a lot of times when you're talking to your coaches and you have a vision of how the player is going to fit, you have to have those discussions. But that discussion was really easy with Coach Fangio. I think I just said that discussion was really easy with Coach Fangio. Wow. I think that it was just for us, where we are as a team, what we believe in is important to winning a world championship and to being a great team. It really wasn't a hard trade to make.
All right, so Walter Payton Man of the Year at such a young age is pretty impressive. So listen, all thumbs up for that acquisition that Howie Roseman made. And he talked about some other, there were obviously some other issues. A lot of people thought A.J. Brown was going to get moved, but he did not. So here comes the question, the A.J. Brown trade rumor. And he had a great rationale for it, which is he's a great player. If we're trying to win something, you don't detach yourself from great players. So here's what Howie had to say about not trading A.J. Brown.
Really like to keep this about the guys we acquired, but Tim, I think that when you're trying to be a great team, it's hard to trade great players. And A.J. Brown's a great player. He wears the C for a reason. He's an important part of this team, of this organization. He cares about winning. He cares about his teammates. And I think that when you're a team like ours that is looking forward to an opportunity to compete for a championship, you just don't get rid of the guys like that. And so feel very lucky to have him on our team and excited about the second half of the season with him.
All right. So Anthony, he said all the right things in his press conference. AJ stays. They acquire a defensive end that they needed. They got a couple more candidates for a cornerback, which I don't know whether it's going to play out or not. It's the sorest spot on the team. It's so annoying that they got like 5 guys and they're throwing a dart to see if somebody would emerge. And I think it's a Fangio call, and he's in Howie's ear saying, we're not adequate enough there. We're not adequate enough there. We got to do more there. We got to get a guy here. We got to try a guy here. That's what he's doing.
No, and he is. And I think that ultimately there's multiple plans here, Mike, right? Let's see if one of these guys hits, if it's, hey, if Jair Alexander comes in and he's even 75% of what he was before he got hurt in Green Bay, then you're probably happy enough with that, keeping Cooper DeJean on the inside. If it doesn't work out, or, then maybe you say, all right, well, we'll move Cooper to the outside and we'll go with this Michael Carter kid in the slot. And that's the best way to go it as a secondary plan. So I think that was the idea why they went and got 2 corners, one that is a slot and one that's on the outside, because they would prefer to keep Cooper DeJean where he is, where he's at his best. But if you
so would I, by the way.
Well,
I don't want to do that outside corner experiment at all.
Well, yes, but you're right, and I'm with you on that. But I say that if you haven't been able to fix the outside corner, if the next best option is you got to put Coop out there and play Carter in the slot, okay, then that's what you do, right? That's what you do.
Yeah, we do have some comments in the chat. Saturday again says internal competition might make a DB flourish. Wake Ringo or Jackson up. I mean, if those guys haven't had an alarm clock to wake them up all this time, I don't know if it's going to be because you added Jair Alexander. And by the way, if he was playing 75% of what he was, Anthony, I'm not so sure the Ravens would have given him up. I think he's playing at like 30%.
Yes, he is. But I mean, part of that is also that the Ravens were not getting home on their pass rush either. And so maybe the Eagles look at it and say, hey, listen, now that we've got Jalen Phillips, we can line up if we want to, with the return of Brandon Graham. Not that he's going to play a ton of snaps, but he's going to play some. If we want to, we can line up 4 former first-round pick defensive linemen across the front, right? And get to the quarterback. Maybe it's not as difficult on Alexander if the quarterback's under pressure. So, I mean, maybe that's part of it as well.
How do you feel really about Jalen Phillips? Is this like a a definite help? Like, are we going to see this guy wreak havoc on the quarterback here, or is it going to take a while for him?
No, I don't think we're going to see him wreak havoc. But I mean, do I think he's a guy that over the course of a season is a 10 to 12 sack guy with a bunch of other hurries? Yeah, I do. I think he can be that. I think he absolutely can be that. And so if you're getting half a season of that, and maybe he gets another 6 sacks and, a bunch of hurries and puts pressure on the quarterback, that's certainly going to help, because the Eagles, when they've struggled, have not gotten after the quarterback.
All right, let's get. I want to see if you're in tune with the power rankings, where the Philadelphia Eagles are right now and where everybody else is in the league. If you could guess for me the top 10 power rankings that were in the Athletic this week, what would you go with?
Overall? So
the entire league.
We're including the AFC teams.
We're including the AFC. I just want to see if you're on the same page. And after we do this, we'll take a break and we'll be joined by Adam Caplan. But I want to see if you're as in tune with this poll as the Athletic voters were.
All right. So I'm assuming we're going to go. You want me to try and guess their order?
Start from number 1 and go on.
I'm guessing that they went with the Colts number 1.
They did not go with the Colts. In fact,
okay.
The Colts are 5.
Wow. Well,
they're coming off a loss, so
yeah. But it was a kind of, like I said, like last week, I saw that as a trap game for them.
Yeah, but it's still, a loss is a loss.
Yeah. Are they going with Buffalo at number 1?
They are going with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow.
As number 1.
All right.
The Rams are 2.
Wow.
At 6-2. The Bills at 6-2 are 3.
All right.
The Bucks at 6-2 are 4. The Colts at 7-2 are 5. The Seattle Seahawks at 6-2. I don't know what to make of this team, but they're climbing up the ranks at 6-2. They're 6th. The Lions, we're going to see them shortly. 5-3 are the 7th on the power rankings. The Denver Broncos still getting sold a little bit short. 7-2, they're 8th. The Patriots are number 9 at 7-2. And finally, and this team just does not go away from the mindset of these voters. At 5-4, the Kansas City Chiefs are in the top 10.
They're mediocre. I wouldn't put them in the top 10.
But they've got this romance. They romance all these voters.
Yeah. Oh, I know. But that's the NFL. That's what it is. I'm a little surprised by those rankings, Mike. I'll be honest with you. Eagles.
Would you not have the Eagles at number 1?
Well, so I didn't have them as number 1 in the NFC last week, but they didn't play. So do they get the benefit of the doubt to move up for not playing?
They do. Right. With several days off, they've actually improved their standing.
They've improved. So I could certainly. I don't have an argument against it. I don't think that you'd sit there and say they're not the number 1 team. I just think that there's a lot of mediocrity in the NFL this year. I think everybody's there's a lot of teams that are kind of close, and I think the Eagles are certainly in that top 2 or 3. And but I think teams 4 through 9 are really close too. So it's going to be an interesting second half of this season to see how this all plays out.
Now, the one team that isn't anywhere near the top 10, the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Losing at home to Carolina dropped them like a stone.
Yeah.
Out of the top 10.
I don't know if I would drop them out of the top 10, but certainly would not put them at number 1 any longer.
I would have had them certainly at top 10 before the Chiefs. But that's just me.
Yes.
And maybe I'm a Chiefs hater. I could be a Chiefs hater.
No, I would have them ahead of the Chiefs too. I'd have them ahead of a number of those teams, to be honest with you.
All right. So let's take our first break on the show tonight. And we've got Adam Caplan joining us after the other side of the break. And he'll give us his spin on what the Eagles have done and where they stand now, whether they're worthy of the number 1 power ranking spot or not. It is the On Pattison podcast with Mike Missinelli and Anthony Sanfilippo. We're back with Adam Caplan right after this.
Flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitalgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capital Grill, Center City.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at PennCommunityBank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
Welcome back on Pattison Podcast with Mike Missinelli, Anthony Sanfilippo, and our special guest today. Yes, good to see the smiling face of Adam Caplan from Inside the Birds and host of the Pro Football Report on WBCB. Joining us now remotely. Hello, Adam. How you feeling today?
Mike, good to see you. It's been a while. Good to see you.
It has been a while. We have some very serious issues to talk to you about. First of all, the Eagles with a big, busy week to grab some players, Jalen Phillips being the number one guy. So, How do you assess how Howie did last week?
I thought he did what he had to do. Look, we had said on Inside the Birds, really starting after the draft, that they had 2 glaring weaknesses. Cornerback opposite Quinyon Mitchell and edge rush. Depth, as we said for 8 years, is not about how many players you have. It's the quality of the player. And we felt, and then we would go to training camp, myself, Jeff Mosher, and Andrew DeCecco, who works for us, who's our beat reporter, does a great job. We all came out saying, wow, everything we thought after the draft is still there. It's a problem. The pass rush, we didn't think Jalix Hunt was ready to be a big-time pass rusher. Other than the last game where he played really well, Mike, you hadn't really seen it. Obviously, BG retired, then came out of retirement. We'll see what that looks like. Nolan Smith, unfortunately, got hurt. A lot of things have happened, but they did not have that number one guy. You don't have to have an elite edge rusher, but as the group, they all have to play at a high enough level, and we had not seen that. And then the cornerback thing it's really been a disaster opposite Mitchell. Let's call it like it is. I joked with our Patreon group last night that they're going to basically have Mike a in the season tryout at corner opposite Mitchell between Jair Alexander, who just got acquired, and of course Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson when it gets cleared out of concussion protocol. I mean, it's just it is what it is. I get it, Mike. Not every team's going to be perfect, but the glaring issues we saw in the spring are still here.
Yeah, I want to get it back to the cornerback situation in a second, because it is kind of crazy that they're having this in-season competition for the job. But talk to me about Jalen Phillips. How good of a player is he, and how quick do we expect for him to make an impact?
Well, I expect him to be a starter. Now, the question is, Mike, does he play the left or right side here? He did play for Vic Fangio, the Eagles defense coordinator, when the two were the Dolphins 2 years ago. So there's an understanding what the scheme looks like and his role in it. And then, of course, you've got the Nolan Smith situation, so they have to kind of figure out how they're going to juggle. Because Vic's interesting. You know, if you go back to when Jim Schwartz was here, he liked having at least 4 guys in a rotation as edge rushers. I know they ran a 43, where they run a 34 here, but the fact of the matter is you want to have depth and talent, and they have that. Phillips, by the way, if you really look at it, Mike, had he not had the terrible back-to-back year luck of the ACL and the torn Achilles, first year doesn't miss any games. Off to a great start with Fangio. Then he has a major injury. Then last year had a major injury as well. And from what I'm told, seems like he's pretty close to where he was, playing well. And when you look at edge rushers, Mike and Anthony, you look at this guy and you go, you just chisel this guy out of stone. He looks exactly like you want. He does everything well. It's just that, okay, you're making a trade in season. He's got to get acclimated again to the same scheme he played in 2 years ago. This is a no-brainer. I know a third-round pick is what we call start around, Mike. That's a premium pick, but he's going to start when they think he's ready, and this just makes him absolutely better. There's no question about it in my mind.
Interestingly enough, they do have 2 third-round picks anyway left. So
yeah.
That's the mastery of this whole thing. All right, let's get to the quarterback. I'm uncomfortable with it. I got to be honest with you. It's a lot of mediocre, talented guys that they're trying to they're polishing a rock, hoping they find a jewel here, and I just don't see it. So, do they want Keely Ringo to win this job, and he just hasn't won it? Like, what's the impetus to load up and magically cross your fingers that someone will emerge as a starter?
Mike, what you just said, the latter was what they wanted in August. Okay, Ringo was beaten out by Adoree Jackson. That shouldn't have happened, but it happened. Adoree Jackson's near the end of his career. He's 30 years old now. Howie Roseman loved Adoree Jackson. He tried to sign him, and Jackson went on record saying it more than once that the Eagles pursued him when he left the Titans. But so then you add Jair Alexander, and they'll figure it out in practice what it's going to look like. In fact, here's the thing, Mike. Jair Alexander was a healthy scratch for 5 games, okay? I know for a fact that there was a conditioning issue. They weren't quite sure where he was at. He didn't play well when he played for the Ravens. He played fairly well last year. It was up and down because of a knee problem. There was some good tape from him last year. The Ravens weren't the only team to try to sign him, but something happened. I know he had a knee injury in the preseason, but he didn't look like the same guy. So Vic Fangio, it's his call, and he'll make the decision with consultation with Christian Parker, the DB's coach, and they'll figure it out. But I'm with you, Mike. This is not a good thing when you're trying to win a Super Bowl, which they clearly can. They clearly, Mike, are going to make a run here. This is not a great year for the league and 32 teams in terms of quality. It's just not.
Well, I have a question for you on this, Adam. Like, wouldn't you look at why they make that acquisition? Is it really, as I had said just before the break, because they prefer to keep Cooper DeJean in the slot, or do you look at it and say, all right, if this fails, at least that's the second best option. You can go to him on the outside and go Michael Carter into the slot spot.
They're actually both, Anthony. They're both right. 2 things can be right, as we say on Inside the Birds. Jeff Mosher's line, he uses a lot. People tease him, but he's always right with that. Yes, that Vic Fangio would absolutely not want to make this move. But they have the insurance policy of Michael Carter, who we noted last week, and Howie Roseman confirmed on the record. He's not playing corner. He's here to play nickel or backup at safety. Now, he also could play special teams, but it gives you the optionality, if you will, to do whatever Vic needs to do. That's the problem here with cornerback opposite Mitchell being so poor. It could come to that, Anthony. You don't want it to, because I've not seen a nickel defender this athletic, this versatile. I don't know. I mean, we could bring up other guys from other teams over the years, but this guy is special, Cooper DeJean. And Vic, it's funny. They didn't draft him to play nickel. They drafted him to play corner. And because he had an injury after they drafted him, they decided that it was too much for him. They let him play nickel in training camp, and voila, he becomes one of the best nickels. Who knew?
Adam, how do you see that they haven't played in like a month? This team. I mean, it's this gap between games is just annoying for a fan. But the Green Bay Packers, they took a step back last week. How do they match up with Green Bay, who emerges in this game as a 2.5-point favorite as we speak?
Yeah, I did pick Green Bay to win their division. I still think that they will, the NFC North. But I like that. This bye came at the right time with the offensive line. And I know they played great against the Giants, but let's face it, the offensive line has not been quite as good as we're used to. Getting those guys off their feet, Mike. We remember the Eagles played late until last season. In fact, playing into February, and they seem like a tired team. I know they're 6-2. They're technically the number 1 seed. Not that it really matters in Week 10, but right now they are the number 1 seed. And despite all the problems, the craziness of the Rams game and that awful Giants loss, they avenged it against the Giants, obviously, right before the bye. But the bottom line is they're a good football team. Getting over to the Packers, that was an awful loss. They it's really weird how they moved the ball but couldn't score. That was the oddness of it. Their defense is good, but I've told people all along they're not great at corner. Very beatable. I know the Eagles are a run team. That's their roots. That's where it starts. But when Hurts drops back, he'll have an opportunity to make big plays with A.J. Brown if he plays with a hamstring issue. And look, you saw what the Panthers ran all over him. So that's really good with Saquon Barkley. So
I want to ask you about that.
Yeah,
They pretty much had a strategy to run right at Micah Parsons. Is that what the Eagles are going to be doing in this game?
Well, that's part of it. That's why Jerry Jones who's asphyxiated of stopping the run way too much. I mean, that was the big excuse that Jerry used, the general manager and owner, by the way, of the Cowboys, to trade Parsons. But the bottom line is, and they got a D tackle. This kid Colby Wooden's hurt with a shoulder injury, so it's the Eagles match up well. But the story, I got to bring up Brett Toth, Mike. I'll admit it. I've bashed him. I mean, quite frankly, he was awful before that game. Had you never watched him before, but you watched it in the last game against the Giants, you would go, "Oh my God, this guy's an All-Pro." Where did this come from? This is the strangest of this football team. Right when you think you know what they are, then something bad happens. It's been the story of this league. It's like I heard you and Anthony talking about power rankings before the break here. You can't back any teams, Mike. This is the worst I've seen it in terms of the quality of the league of 32 teams.
Everybody seems to be the same. So you don't agree that the Eagles should be the number one ranked power ranked team in the NFL?
Okay, I haven't done power rankings since I left Fox Sports. Brian Billick of all people took them over, I think, when I left in 2011 or 2010. But I would begrudgingly, because the Eagles are good. They're not elite like last year. They're not elite in 22, and they really should have won it. I think they got beat by the grass, to be honest with you, in Arizona. But no, they're no dominant teams, because every time I want to back a team, I back the Lions. They lose at home. They play terribly against the Vikings. I back the Packers. They lose terribly at home to the Panthers. Then there's teams like, I can't believe the Patriots. I didn't see that. I thought the odds makers, Mike, so I know you look at the odds. I thought the under was the play on future numbers. I'm like, there's no way they're getting over 8.5. But you know what? The value of coaching. How great of a coach is Mike Vrabel?
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
Is there a team in your mind in the NFC who would scare you against the Eagles?
Yes. Well, I did pick Seattle to be a wildcard team because I have to turn I vote in 2 polls, so I put them as a wildcard team. I didn't have them winning it. I think I had the Niners winning it. The NFC West. Seattle's defense is phenomenal. Sam Darnold, he's had one bad game. This is quite the run that he's having. I know he ended poorly with the Vikings. I mean, he's back with Clint Kubiak. Like this, this is good. He's back in the scheme. It's working out. They're really good. Now Tampa Bay, you have to look at when people say Tampa Bay's had the Eagles numbers. It's people don't look at context. You have to look at who had been out. A.J. Brown for a lot of those games and the injuries. And when A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Lane Johnson didn't play last year, I mean, context matters. So then you saw the Eagles really handle them, and they beat them, by the way. The Rams, Eagles match up very well with the Rams with their small front. Now, the Eagles played terribly against the Rams. I give them credit for winning. But there's not a team, Mike, to answer your question, move this along. There's not a team that would worry me if I'm an Eagles fan. I wouldn't worry about it. It's just that I'll bring it back to you. All these moves now that they've made, can they bring them to the next level? I believe the Jalen Phillips one can. I'm still very worried. You should be worried if you're an Eagles fan. Obviously, Quinyon Mitchell. That, to me, is a big, big issue going forward.
Yeah. Adam, listen, always a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate it. And we'll catch up down the road. How about that?
Sounds good. Anytime, guys. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, there he Adam is. Adam Caplan joining us on our remote line inside the Birds and the host of the Pro Football Report on WBCB. We have some people joining the chat. So if you want to join the chat, please do. Here's Saturday again. Love you, Mikey Miss. Respect, Anthony Sanfilippo. You guys are doing great. Keep it going. There you go. Beautiful.
That's awesome.
All right. Awesome. Let's look at the Packers game. And now we'll take a break and come back and talk about Nick Sirianni. I have some mind-boggling statistics for Nick Sirianni, and I wonder why. And I'll be honest, I feel the same way. Like, he doesn't connect with me like he should for as successful a coach as he is. But let's look at some random statistics with the Packers. Now, of course, they lost last week to Carolina, 16-13. 13 points versus the Carolina D. That was given up 24 a game. They were 7-13 on third down. They were 1-5 in the red zone. So a clunker by the Packers. I don't know what to expect from their offense because Jordan Love, to me, is just so erratic. He makes throws that are ridiculous sometimes.
Yeah, I looked at that game, Mike, going into it as a potential, a little bit of a trap because they're looking ahead. You get they're going to play the Eagles at home, Monday Night Football the week after. But I think losing Tucker Kraft in the game really hurts Jordan Love.
Done for the season, by the way.
Yeah.
Torn ACL, the great tight end who might be the best in the league.
Yeah, I think that's where things go awry for Jordan Love, because he doesn't really have the top end talent in the other positions. They're good. I mean, receivers are good. The running back's fine, but it's his prime target is the number one tight end in football in my mind. And he goes out with a bad injury. And I think that changes the dynamic of the game and why they probably end up on the losing end and not just squeak one out against Carolina. That puts them at a disadvantage, I think, against the Eagles as well. When you look at it, I thought that the Eagles had a little bit of an advantage going into the game anyway, but now you take away Jordan Love's best option. I think that makes things a little bit better for you.
They have to get to him, and they have not been getting to the quarterback this year. 2 sacks a game. That's a very low sack percentage. They're way down in the rankings in the league. So they've got to get to this quarterback somehow. And I don't know if they're ready to do that right now with all the guys they keep rattling in. Listen, they've all had moments. Uche's had a moment. Jalix Hunt has had a moment. Patrick Johnson, who's no longer on the roster, has had a moment. Will they dust Brandon Graham off this weekend? Will he have a moment? All these things are uncertain. They can't seem to get a consistent pass rush.
Yeah, although I did like what I've seen in the last couple of outings from Jalix Hunt. He seems like he's starting to kind of find it a little bit more. And so maybe he can be that guy. Maybe he can be the guy that starts to provide a little bit more consistent pressure when he's in the lineup. Obviously, you're bringing Brandon Graham back in for a reason. I think it's more leadership than it is getting pressure on the quarterback, but we know that he has the ability to get home as well. So they definitely need a little bit more of that. You now add Phillips into the mix. I think they feel like there's a little bit more out there for them from what their group has, and they just haven't attained it yet. They tend to get that last year. We saw them tend to get better as the season progressed. So maybe they feel like that they're in a very similar spot to that, and that they will have that in the second half of the season. But yes, I understand that's crossing your fingers and hoping.
Yeah, and conversely, Jalen's been sacked 25 times.
Yeah,
and I was looking at Pro Football Focus numbers.
Yeah,
you only put half of those on the offensive lineman. Like, he's getting sacked just trying to move around the pocket, trying to find a guy, whatever. 25 is a lot of sacks for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it's a combination of the offensive line is not as formidable as it was a season ago. It's still very good, but
Landon Dickerson, by the way, has given up 4 sacks.
He's playing hurt. Like, the guy is.
Yeah, he really is. He is playing hurt.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem. But I also think that you're right. It comes down to Jalen. Jalen is so hell-bent on making a play, but also doing it without putting the team at risk. So he holds on to the ball, trying to make that play, but he doesn't try and force the throw because he doesn't want to turn the ball over. I think he'd be better off just losing the down, right? Throw it away, throw it out of bounds, and not take that sack. And I think that would kind of be better for the offense.
Yeah. All right. Let's. I want to get to this. I want to get to this Nick Sirianni thing because I got some statistics that to me are mind-boggling.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the public's acceptance of him? This is a very accomplished coach. Won a Super Bowl, went to another one, and yet I just don't sense that he has won over the populace. Am I wrong?
He hasn't won me over, Mike. I'm one of the populace. And I guess it's because I grew up in an era where head coaches were the guys making all of the in-game decisions, or a lot of the in-game decisions. Yes, they leaned on their coordinators, but that they were at least taking up half of the game. The whole concept of being a little bit of a CEO coach, I know that's a phrase that's kind of been thrown around for him. I think that's what bothers me a little bit. And I'm guessing that's probably what bothers the masses a little bit too. And so it's more like, what exactly are you doing? What decisions are you making that Vic Fangio and Kevin Patullo aren't making And then you throw on top of that he's so demonstrative and, mugs for the camera all the time. It's like, okay, this drives people crazy.
Here's the thing. I used to be like that. And I go, I got to give it up now. I don't know what he doesn't do that makes him a good coach. He's a very successful coach. He's not beloved. There are coaches that are beloved. I don't think he's beloved. For whatever reason, he's not beloved. But let me give you some numbers here, Ian.
Yeah.
Against the NFC, Sirianni is 42-19 for a 750 percentage. Against the AFC, he's 18-6 with a 689 percentage. He's 9-0 now. 9-0 against McVay, LaFleur, and Campbell. He's 9-0 against the NFC North. 5-0 against the AFC North, 5-0 against the AFC South, and 19-0 versus those three divisions. Now, I mean, what more do you want out of the guy? Well, he's a CEO coach. I understand he's got coordinators that have autonomy, whatever. Somewhere along the line, that guy is responsible for keeping it together.
So I'm going to make a comparison for you. And this may not be the best comparison, but I'm going to make a comparison for you. There's a coach who in his first 3 seasons with a very good team went 34-14 and won a Super Bowl. Then fell off the map and never coached in the NFL again. Barry Switzer. I'm just saying the talent around you can make you a good coach. I don't know how much. I think coaching matters to an extent, but not to the point where you sit there and go, until you have a track record that is lengthy, that for many years of success, and you are the guy that's responsible for it. Like, where would this team be right now without Vic Fangio? Like, I don't necessarily know if you're.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying?
I would love to join this discussion. I love picking on people. I love this. You know me all these years. I would love to join your army here and attack them. I can't do it anymore. I have been totally disarmed with numbers and records and the way they play and the fact that this is not their best team, and yet the power rankings, they're number one. There's something about this guy that I don't get. I don't like. I hate the scruffy beard. First of all, I just hate it. Like, trim it up a little, like neaten it up just one time. But again, this is stupid stuff that we all look at to hate him, hate the guy, and I just can't do it anymore.
Look, I get it, and that's why I quietly protest about him. I don't usually say it publicly, but you brought it up on the show. You forced me to say it. I'm still there. Look, if the guy goes out and they win another Super Bowl this year, I'd probably come on your side and be like, okay, he's probably doing something right that I'm just not seeing. But until that happens, I'm still kind of on the outside.
I want to ask the people in the chat, what is it about Sirianni that does not make him beloved? We can all agree he's not beloved. He's liked. He's not beloved. Like Buddy Ryan was beloved. Right? He's not beloved. So what is it that holds people back on Nick Sirianni? I'd love to hear on the chat board.
That's a great question, Mike, because when you look at it, in every team that's won a championship in this city, or even come close to winning a championship in this city, the coach or manager has always been revered in some way with the fans of the city. And Sirianni doesn't get that. And I think that's an interesting way to look at it. Like, why?
Do you think he cares?
I don't think he cares.
Do you think he cares that maybe he's not beloved like he should be?
No, I don't think he cares at all. If he cared, he would tone it down. But that's why I don't think he cares. Here you go. It's like
the tone it down thing annoyed me when they lose.
Yeah, Steve
Savino
says
but they win. So I like the tone it down thing no longer applies. Steve has chimed in. He's a hate to face.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be enough to dislike the man as a coach.
Yeah, and E.G. Butler's saying it. He's saying he's confused. The complaints against the coach are weak.
We have some baseball issues to talk about, and we'll do that after a break. But first, I want to go around the NFL because around the NFL, the things that caught my eye on the weekend of football. So we'll start with Sam Darnold, who was mentioned by Adam Caplan. MVP Sam Darnold, by the way, a candidate for MVP, throws for 4 touchdowns to keep the Seattle Seahawks going. The Bears, where they get a come from behind win against the Cleveland or the Bengals, and Chase Brown had some F-bombs to say after the game. Chase Brown saying, "We got to effing finish the effing game," which was interesting. Are the Packers and Lions frauds? They both lose last week. The Colts come back to earth against the Steelers, although the Colts may be one of my picks this week. And let's get to the audio highlight of the week. A record-setting field goal by the Jaguars' Cam Little. Here's the way it sounded: 68 yards.
68 yards away. It's up there. It's out there. And it's good. It's good from 68. Cam Little came up big.
Just driving that ball. You see the low trajectory, but look at this. I mean, that's good from 70.
And this is regular season.
It's good from 70. Now, I know you have a problem with this.
I have a major problem with it.
You have a problem with this. You have a problem with the footballs. The special kicking footballs, you believe, are adding to this. I think it's fantastic. I think if you're going to rig a football to kick a 70-yard field goal, to give your team a 70-yard field goal, I'm all for it. How could you possibly dislike it?
Because I think teams are more apt to play for field goals now than to play for touchdowns. I think it hurts the league. We went too quick and look, I know guys are going to develop. They're going to get physically better at kicking. They're going to, get better at understanding the math of it and all. And so, back in my day, when a 50-yard field goal was exciting, it's not the same anymore. I mean, now you got guys regularly making field goals over 60 yards.
And you think it's the balls.
Well, I know it has to be. How is it not?
So you're able to get more. The balls aren't as hard. The kicking balls aren't as hard, so you can get more foot into it. But I don't understand what's wrong with that. First of all, this is a league now that goes for it on 4th down more than anybody. So I don't know if they settle for field goals. But if you can get to a certain level and you've got a guy who can kick a 70-yard field goal, that's exciting for fans.
To me, Mike, and I agree that they go for it more on 4th down, but I think that this takes away from that because before you had these balls in play, and it's not just the balls, it's mostly the balls, but I think that it's also the rules where you can't come over the center to try and block a kick. You can't use your own player for leverage to jump up. So there's a bunch of other things that kind of come into play, but it's more that when you have the ball 4th down and you're just inside the 50-yard line, I'd much rather see a team go for it, right?
Most teams do. Most teams do go for that.
Guy you can hit a 68-yard field goal now, you're just going to kick the damn field goal.
Not everybody can kick a 68-yard field goal. And to boot, you can say whatever you want with the footballs. When you're that far away, you got to have a lower trajectory. It should be more susceptible to be blocked.
Yeah, but you can't block up the middle anymore. You can't block over the center anymore. So like that, it makes it easier for them to go
pressure up the middle. The Eagles got pressure up the middle to block field goals.
You have to do it a certain way. You have to do it a certain way. How many field goals get blocked anymore? Not that.
I don't know. I think you're being awful picky.
I'm not. I hate.
You got a guy that can kick the 70-yard field goal. That's money, man.
I hate kickers.
And I hate kickers. You know me. I hate kickers. But I think it's an exciting play now.
Steve says the balls are on steroids. There you go.
Maybe the balls are on steroids. I don't care. Remember the Super Ball that we used to play with back in the day? Bounce all over the place, right? That was fun. I don't care. Make it better for the kickers to kick it through. I'm okay with it.
I want to. If they're going to go with these balls, I think you need to narrow the goalposts a little bit. Just a little bit.
By the way, I just got to mention this with the Jets. What the Jets are doing. The Jets got first-round picks in 26 and 27 for Sauce Gardner.
Yep.
They got a second round 2026, a first rounder 2027 from the Cowboys. For Williams, Quinnen Williams. The Jets now have 2 first-round picks in 2026 and 2027, where they're going to get a franchise quarterback. Finally, the Jets tearing down to rebuild with draft picks. Do you like it or not? Not that we even care about the Jets, one of the most pathetic franchises in the history of football, but are they doing it the right way now?
Are they going to get the right guy? Or are they going to base it on Madden ratings?
The right guy has come out in the draft recently. the Bo Nixes of the world, the kid from the Patriots, the
Drake
Giants
May,
kid,
Jackson Dart,
Yeah.
They have a shot at getting it, but you got to get the right one. I mean, there's a lot of guys who get picked that high who are not the right guy.
No, you do, but there are a lot of guys have been lately. So the Jets, if you're a fan of the Jets, I don't know how would you feel. They tore down the team. They're going to be stinking. They're going to be losers forever. They're going to have to rebuild. It's like a 5-year building program now. But see, this is why I look at Sirianni. I look at the Eagles. I go, we're lucky. We really are. We're pretty lucky.
Well, yeah.
All right. Some baseball issues on the other side. Schwarber, JT, Ranger will start to get bids at 4:00 today. Will the Phillies lose any of those guys? Should they lose any of those guys? I'm thinking it's got to be Ranger, and they keep the other two. But also, Bryce Harper's situation with Dombrowski. Is there an apology extension in the works, Anthony? Because Boris is saying, hey, you wounded my guy now. Let's compensate him. We'll talk about that after this.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at PennCommunityBank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
It is the Pattison Podcast with Mike Missinelli, my partner, Anthony Sanfilippo. Let's get to some baseball issues here. The price apparently keeps going up for Kyle Schwarber. I don't know where it's going to stop. $30 million a year, 5 or 6 year deal. You can calculate that yourself. That's a lot of money for a guy. The Phillies are in a no-win situation where wherever the price is, they've got to pay it. Am I right or am I right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, maybe not the term so much. I think maybe they could probably – I wouldn't be surprised if the Phillies went to him and said, hey, we'll give you more money but less years and see if Kyle will take that.
So what, 40 for 4?
35, maybe 35 for over
4 years?
So 140. I mean, what I've been seeing is like the expectation is something like 145, right? So what if you say to him 140, you get more, and then you might be able to get another 1 year deal after that before you retire. I think that but I think the Phillies have to suck it up, Mike. Either way, any way you look at it, they're going to be overpaying for this guy. And
there's going to be a lot of teams willing to overpay. I'm looking at the Boston Red Sox; they may overpay as well.
Yes. Boston, the Cubs, Cincinnati. I think there's a lot of teams.
Cincinnati can meet that price, can they? I don't know if the Reds are in it.
If you make an effort to go out and get a manager like Terry Francona, who's a finalist for Manager of the Year, they got you into the playoffs. You have a young pitching staff. You have a couple of really nice young players there as well. Young star up and coming star in Ellie De La Cruz. What they don't have is that veteran leader who can galvanize that team to the next level. And Schwarber is that type of player. Also, he's from there. He's from that area of a part of Ohio. So could it be like go home and be that guy for that team.
Yeah, going home, playing for the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, come on. If you're going home and you're playing for the Dodgers, that's another thing. You go home and play for the Reds. You know,
I hear you.
The Reds are only going to be so viable. Let's face it.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
All right, let me give you this little twist. First of all, the Phillies
Yeah.
did give qualifying offers to Ranger and Schwarber, which they had to do. But that means nothing. The discard those. Harrison Bader opted out at $10 million, which I guess if I'm Harrison Bader and I realize I'm going to get more than $10 million, I guess I would opt out. I can't believe it, but he is probably going to get more than $10 million, right?
Yeah. Well, not only that, Mike, he gets $3 million as part of the opt-out agreement. So he starts with 3, right? And if he gets a new deal, what I think he's going to get is somewhere around 2 years, 25.
Jeez.
Like, so all of a sudden he's going to get 20. So you say that if you're Harrison Bader, you sit there and go, I can get 28 million or take 10 million to stay 1 year with the Phillies. I'm going to take the 28 million.
Despite his great love for playing for the Philadelphia, right?
I would like the extra 18 million. I would love the extra.
Let me twist you into a knot here.
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker is out there.
Yeah.
Really good player.
Yeah.
Solid outfielder, would really help the Phillies outfield, which is still a problem. Would Kyle Tucker be a better investment than Kyle Schwarber?
Well, you're talking a lot more money. I think there.
$40 million a year.
When you're looking at Tucker, I think you're looking at Tucker wanting a 12-year deal, somewhere close to 450, 500
What is he?
million.
27,
28, I think. Yeah.
28.
Yeah. So like that's what you're looking at. So that would give you a third player on your roster who you have tied up for a decade, although Harper's contract is less than that now, but and over $300 million of money invested in the player. I can't see them doing that. So I don't think that's going to come to fruition. I think the thing that is better possibility is if you don't sign JT Realmuto, I can see them getting Alex Bregman, which IROC Philly mentions here. He says Phillies are favorites on odds to sign Bregman.
On odds to sign Alex Bregman. Yeah. Can they afford it with re-signing Schwarber and Realmuto? Probably not.
Right. Not both. Not both. Right. So if they don't bring back Realmuto, then I could see them getting Bregman. And I think that's a more realistic because Bregman's not going to be 12 years. Bregman, you're looking at probably a 5-year deal.
How could they possibly do better at catcher?
You can't. So
that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's a monster gamble to do something like that. To be without your catcher just to sign Alex Bregman.
So the way you look at it is this: is the drop off from Realmuto to whoever becomes your full-time catcher, whether it's Marchand or somebody that you bring in, a veteran that you bring in from outside, worse than the upgrade that would be Bregman over Alec Boehm. And Boehm probably brings you something in return a little bit as well.
How old is Alex Bregman?
32.
What? Okay. What does he have? Does
31,
he have
31.
A lot left?
Oh, he had a great year in Boston. I mean, really did. He's a very good defensive third baseman. He's a leader. He's won. He knows how to win. He's right-handed. Okay. He's back behind Harper. Like, there's a lot more value to him. So I don't know. I would be okay with that. I'm not loving it, but I'm okay with it. Versus going with what you've had. I mean, if you bring back both Schwarber and Realmuto, you're basically bringing the same offense back.
I listen. I get it. I just don't think catcher is a position where you go, I've got nothing. There is no way that I could possibly improve that situation over JT Realmuto. As much as I don't want to put the same guys back in the same type of lineup, I can't do any better than that. I can't have Rafael Marchand be my starting catcher. I can't have some journeyman from some other team be my starting catcher.
IROC asks, Realmuto hit 257 with 12 home runs. Can Marchand do that?
Can Marchand do? No, Marchand can't hit 257.
Probably not.
No,
he's probably less than that.
20 hitter.
Yeah,
at best.
Yeah, it's probably 225. He might hit the 12 home runs. He does have a little bit of pop in his bat. But that's
I don't know. It's not like I'm that big of a JT fan, but if I'm the general manager, I can't do any better now. What am I doing?
Yeah, but so here's the thing with Realmuto. Are you signing him to a 3-year, $45 million contract? That's probably what it's going to take. About $15 million a year for 3 years. When he's already going to be 35 years old and he just had his worst offensive season in in almost a decade.
Anthony, you make a great point. I don't have any alternative.
Yeah.
I just don't. There is such a dearth of catching offensively anyway in this league that you're going to have guys like Martin Maldonado like hitting 207 for you as your starting catcher.
You're right.
Seriously.
You're right.
I can't have a catcher hitting 207.
Kind of sucks. It's a tough spot that they're in.
It really does.
It's a tough spot
let's move on to the drama of Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
Scott Boras, chirping, extension. And like what you guys did, you hurt my guy. You hurt your star player. You hurt your cornerstone player. So maybe you got to make it up to him in the pocketbook. What do you think?
I don't see it happening this year at all. I think that Dombrowski's best line was it's a good thing that he signed for so long.
He signed for 7 more years.
6.
Now hear this:
6 more years. 6 more years.
If you redo the contract and you say we'll pay you $40 million for the next 4 years, you waive your no trade clause.
I don't think he does it.
You don't think he does it?
No.
He's going to make a lot more money, $40 million a year, than what he's making now.
But keep in mind that I'm not sure that you could actually restructure the contract. Like, I don't think you could tear it up and
rip up the one, sign him to a new one.
I don't know if baseball. I would have to check and see if baseball allows that. I don't remember anybody doing that in baseball. I don't think that you can extend the guy. You can give him money at the end of the contract that he's under, but I don't think you can rip it up and re-sign a new one. I'm not sure.
IROC also says Marchand's career in 206 at bats is a 245 career average. That can't be possible. Where has he hit 245? That can't be his career average, is it?
I would have to look it up. I think that he did have the one year where he filled in when Real Muto got hurt.
He can't hit.
Yeah.
All right, he's not a hitter.
Yeah, no, he's not.
I can tell hitters that guy is not a hitter.
Yeah, career 240, Mike. 240 career batting.
Career 240. That's surprising to me. But he looks like a 220 hitter in the big leagues playing every day.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's 220, 225. That's probably what he is.
All right, so you don't think the Harper thing is coming, even though there are bruised feelings out there. You know how those bruised feelings get.
I don't think they're coming now. No, I think that the Phillies look at it and say maybe down the line, Mike. I think that they're right now saying to Scott Boras, have a Bryce Harper year next year, then let's talk.
Okay. All right, now let's just quickly look at the bullpen because they do have Jose Alvarado in there now.
Yeah.
Are there any right-handed relief pitchers that they have in their system? And I'm talking about that can fill the bill. I'm talking about the Tim Mazes, the Trevino, from the minor leagues, Alec McFarland, and Tabar or Tarar, whatever his name is, Saad Tarar. Any of those guys a possibility for the pen, and are they optimistic that any of those guys could be?
No, not really. I mean, so McFarland, they're excited about, but he only got to Double-A last year. I think they're going to need a little bit of time with him before he's making the roster. I'd be surprised if he made the roster out of training camp or out of spring training. The guy that is the interesting name to me is Gage Wood, who was the first round pick last year. I think that they still view him long term as a starter, but maybe you sit there and say, hey, let's trot him out there for a season out of the bullpen and see how that looks. So I think that that's a possibility. The interesting thing to me, Mike, and I wrote about this today on Pattison, I wouldn't be surprised if, we've talked about all these changes that the Phillies are making. Everybody talks about the hitters, the lineup's got to change, but nobody's talking about pitchers. Do they move on from Matt Strahm and replace him with a younger, cheaper version of a reliever, left or right hand, doesn't matter, but somebody who throws with velocity and has some swing and miss? They finished third from the bottom in Major League Baseball in whiff rate this past year.
Yeah, but they love themselves some Strahm. I hear you. It wouldn't break my heart at all.
Yeah.
I don't like guys that throw 93.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, he's in the 20th percentile amongst velocity.
I think they're passe in this day and age. I think you need flame to come out of the bullpen at any level.
I agree, and I'm wondering if that's the move that you make. I mean, he's under contract for this year at $7.5 million. There's a team option next year, so maybe another team that needs a lefty in the bullpen looks at it and goes, "Oh, there's some team control there. We could trade for him, and we'll give you this guy." And maybe he's younger, throws harder, he's right-handed, goes into that pen. Especially now that you brought Alvarado back, you have two other lefties in the bullpen.
All right, let's take a break because we got the Sixers and the Flyers report with Anthony Sanfilippo. You don't want to miss the Flyers report with Anthony Sanfilippo. In fact, Matt Miro, our producer, can we hear a hockey horn? There we go. All right, a little hockey horn. Oh, we have not forgotten about the Flyers nor the Sixers, and we have some miscellaneous stuff to talk about as the podcast rolls on here, the On Pattison podcast with Mike Missinelli, with Anthony Sanfilippo, back after this.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's.
All right, it's the On Pattison podcast with Mike Missinelli and Anthony Sanfilippo. Let's talk some Sixers. They've lost 2 straight. Lost on a back-to-back last night. They blew a 24-point lead at Chicago, and then lose to Cleveland last night. By the way, that Chicago game, our old pal Nick Vucevic with a 3-pointer to win the game. Josh Giddey in that game at 29, 15, and 12. His second straight triple-double. The first player, Chicago Bull, to do that since...
Was it Jordan?
Yeah. Michael Jordan. So let's look at where the Sixers are right now. It is a really fascinating dynamic on how Nick Nurse is trying to incorporate Joel Embiid with a team that is younger and faster. And it almost seems like it can't work. Now, if the guy pulls this off, he'd be a master coach. First of all, let me just say this about Tyrese Maxey. He's turning into Iverson. The guy is one of those guys who is scoring at will. I didn't think he would be an Iverson type of player. He's turning into that type of player. However, they're playing him 40 minutes a night, for crying out loud. Wear the kid down to a nub. So first of all, the general theme of this Embiid blend with the Sixers, what are you seeing, Anthony?
Yeah, I look at it, Mike, and I don't think that this is sustainable. And I don't think it's sustainable because I don't think you can overplay these young. Well, Maxey's not really young anyway. He's in his 5th year, but you can't overplay these guards that many minutes. I look at VJ Edge coming. I'm already starting to see a little bit of
he hit a wall last night on a back-to-back. Hit a wall.
Yeah. Okay, there's a guy that maybe needs a little bit more of a break, and I think that once McCain is back in regularly, I think that will help a little bit. But I don't know how it works because Embiid always has needed to be the guy. The offense needed to run through him, and now it's not. And they still try to make some plays go through him, but it's all about Maxey.
And that's the problem. When he's in the game, they try to do that. Now, he's not a guy who could ever be a low post player. They're running it through him at the perimeter, which bogs down their entire offense. If he was willing to be, like a Bam Adebayo type of role, then maybe they could get it to work. But I just don't see the blend when they're trying to run it threw him at the top of the circle.
Yeah, no, I don't see it. They've got so much talent on up front or at the point guard position and at the shooting guard positions and on the wing. That's where their talent is right now, and those guys end up getting forgotten about when Embiid's out there because it's just too much from outside. You need some inside presence, and that's why I like the way that their offense looks sometimes when he's not on the floor. Because the guys down low are more, they're pluggers. They're out there, getting rebounds and just working the ball back to the shooters on the outside. And the game moves at a faster pace. And I think that the Sixers offense flows better. When Joel gets out there, you get a little bit less of that, right? And if they still try and force the square peg into the round hole, and it just doesn't seem to work all the time. And that's the frustration, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would, in a perfect world, I would love to see a team that is maybe 5th in the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference, thinking that one jolt would rise them up if we can acquire Embiid. But you can't. You don't have the salary to do it, to add him to the mix, and you would have to give back players, which means good players that make a lot of money to meet the salary. So the Sixers are in a no-win situation with him. And again, I told you last week, I have Embiid fatigue. I just can't take it anymore. And it's a shame because he's been a great player for this franchise. I've just had enough.
It's still early enough in the season for me that I'm not there yet, but I might eventually join you. I've been one of the last clinging on to the Joel Embiid guys that there are in this city. I still kind of think that maybe he gets healthy enough. Maybe he figures it out. Maybe if they manage it properly in the regular season, by the time we get to the spring, all will be okay. And all of a sudden you'll be like, oh man, there's the Joel Embiid that did so many great things. I'm clinging to that. But by the spring, if it's not evident that can happen again, then I'll probably join you.
All right. It is now time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls who are listening and watching the On Pattison podcast with Mike Missanelli. It is time for, and can I hear a hockey horn again, for the Anthony Sanfilippo Flyers Report. Anthony, talk to me about the Flyers.
Hey, they had a great win on Tuesday night. They went up to Montreal and beat the Canadiens in a shootout, 5-4, in a game that they probably had no business. Just let the horn keep going, Matt. No, but they probably had going into that game, coming off the way they played last weekend against Toronto and Calgary, with two terrible performances. And you sit there and go, they shouldn't have any prayer against this fast Montreal team. Jumped out quick. They had an awesome first period. With Trevor Zegras, Mike, I don't know if you've paid attention to Zegras. I see you got the hat. That's good. I don't know if you've paid attention to what Trevor Zegras has done.
Yeah, he's had a resurgence.
Yeah, 15 points in 13 games for them. He's fallen into a real comfortable spot in their rotation on the wing now. Mostly does do a little bit of center, mostly on the wing. He's made the power play better. He's got a little bit of an edge. He likes playing here. He could be a guy that you can kind of, with Mishkov, as Mishkov gets into shape and gets back to the player he was a year ago. These are two guys that you could kind of build an offense around, a franchise around. So there's something to be excited about there. And they need to sign him. He's a restricted free agent at the end of the season. I think they need to start negotiating with his agent and get him under contract long term. Don't wait, because if he has like a 100-point season, it's going to cost you a lot more than it would if you sign him right now. There is something, though, that's a little bit of a concern, and it's this. Until Tuesday, and Tuesday was the first time that they had a big shot total. They had 42 shots Tuesday. But until Tuesday, they were the next to last team in the NHL in shots per game. They just don't shoot the puck. It just doesn't happen. And Rick Tocchet has been hammering them about it. The players have talked about it. They said, we've watched video and this. We're not getting to the hard areas of the ice, blah, 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 blah. But if you go back and look at all the teams that Rick Tocchet has coached in Vancouver and in Phoenix, none of his teams have ever shot the puck well. Ever. So you got a question now, is it the players, or is it the system is a little bit too difficult for them to kind of pick up and become a team that shoots the puck? And I think that's the question that needs to be asked.
That's very interesting. Can we hear from Tom? Yeah, we heard the hockey horn a lot. Let's hear from the actual head coach of the Flyers when you start talking about this pack mentality that they need to have. Here's Rick talking.
I think, that pack mentality, you eat together as a pack. If you're the lone wolf, you're going to get, you're done. But pack lives, they have a chance to outlive, not to get philosophical or anything, but I just believe in that stuff, right? So, whether it's Trevor Zegers jumping in or I was Delorier, or it seems like everybody's jumping in to help out, and we're preaching discipline too. We're not being stupid. I just think we're just sticking together, and I think that's a good thing.
All right, there you go. Pack mentality, lone wolf,
part of it,
all that.
That part of it is good, right? I mean, the one thing I will give Tocchet a lot of credit for is he's got a lot of buy-in from these players, and they all like each other. They all like playing for each other and playing with each other, and they all like playing for Tocchet. So like there is some real benefit to that going forward. It's just the matter of he has them playing a style that requires them to go to what they call the hard ice, Mike. It's the middle of the ice. It's the place where the defenders are at more often than not. You're going to get whacked a lot in there. It's tougher areas to be, but if you go there, you're going to get more goals. That's where most of the goals are scored in the NHL. And these players have never done that before. Under Tortorella, they didn't do that. And so now it's trying to create a new mindset. And until they do it, there's going to be some frustration. And I think that they found that last weekend when they just couldn't get pucks on net against either Toronto or Calgary, who's the worst team in the NHL.
Yeah. All right, that is the Flyers Report with Anthony Sanfilippo. Let's flip it around and do some general miscellaneous stuff that's been on my mind, and I know on your mind. But so let's stay with hockey because there's a documentary that's going to be seen in some local theaters. I believe yesterday it started. We can catch it probably. It's at the Ritz's. Documentary on Pelle Lindbergh called "The Swede of Philadelphia." Do you know anything about this, and what have you heard about it?
Yeah, so this is coming out. They did a sneak preview yesterday, but I think it opens this weekend in various theaters in the area. I know it's running for at least a week. Charlie Min is the director who did it, and he's, from what I've been told, we did a story. Grace Del Pizzo did a story for us on Pattison about it. He looks more into what happened that night, more so than other stories that you may have read or seen about Pelle Lindbergh. The 40th anniversary is coming up early next week of his passing. And what I've heard is that there is going to be something controversial a little bit with this, in that he suggests that maybe he was overserved, whether it was via teammates or the bartender at the bar that night. And that that there's more to that story. I don't know what kind of facts he has on this. I know that people around the Flyers organization are not too thrilled about that. He did interview Rick Tocchet for the documentary, but he did it before he was hired by the Flyers. He was still out in Vancouver at the time. Flyers have not supported this. They've not put out anything saying, hey, go see this documentary. And that tells me a lot, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what that translates to.
All right, speaking of TV, there's an A-Rod documentary that's going to be seen. I don't know if it's HBO or wherever that is. The guy doing it is a Red Sox fan. Interestingly enough, he is the son of Deepak Chopra, the guru that Oprah used to live by. And this guy is the son, and he's a diehard Red Sox fan, and he's doing an A-Rod documentary. A-Rod has green-lighted it. But here's the thing. I got to think it's going to be negative. A-Rod is such a preening narcissist. He wouldn't even take inventory that it's going to be negative.
1,000%. I was just about to say the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's glowing or if it's negative. All A-Rod cares about is that it's about him and his name is out there. That's all he cares about. And that's why he greenlights it.
Oh, yeah. It's unbelievable.
Will I watch it? No.
Oh, I'll watch it. I hate the guy. That's why I'll watch it.
You'll hate watching it.
Right. Now, speaking of TV, Ant, YouTube Disney fight, which may prevent a lot of people from seeing the Monday Night Football game on ESPN with the Eagles and Packers. What do you make of this?
This is billionaires.
A lot of people upset.
Billionaires fighting with billionaires, right, Mike? Like
Yep.
it's what it is, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that it's come to this point. From what I read, I was reading an article in Front Office Sports was basically saying that Disney's starting to maybe realize that this is problematic and that they shouldn't have done this. They're getting pushback from their own network. I mean, you got guys going on podcasts that are ESPN employees who are saying to ESPN and Disney, "What the hell are we doing here?" Like you can't do that. Like you can't take away like the most popular. It's one thing when you want to have like a little fight over a small network, but when you start taking away something that people are consuming on a regular basis with NFL football as the marquee event and other sports as well, you're
all right. So who's got to give in here?
I think Disney gives in.
Disney gives in.
I do think
right.
Disney gives in. I do think Disney gives in.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing I want to talk about miscellaneous, then we'll get to our picks of the week.
Yeah.
Anthony has one. He puts out one a week. Usually, that's the safest play is to put one out. Because I had eight last week. I put out there. There is do you like to go out to eat every now and then?
Have you seen me?
Go to restaurants?
Have you seen me? I'm a foodie. If you look at my
all right, you're a foodie. There is a Google restaurant scam that's happening here.
Yeah.
Google review scam where they're burying these restaurants with bad reviews. And mostly it's coming from like Pakistan and India, and they're asking, they're actually holding you up for a $250 fee. They'll remove the negative review and give you a glowing review. See, this is the thing about the internet. You can't police it. That stuff can like what you have to have internet sleuths to find out who's doing this to stop it. It's almost impossible to stop it. You can ruin a restaurant's reputation with it.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's going to an extreme. I mean, there have been other situations where people have like gotten on board with, somebody saying, "Hey, don't go to this place," or, write a bad review, and like a bunch of people do it, but then it kind of goes away. This is a whole nother level. This is holding them hostage for reviews, right? And you don't know which ones are real and which ones aren't.
Give me $250. Send it to this account, and I'll get rid of the negative review.
And how do you know if they will? How do you know if they will? Right?
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. All right. Anyway, that's our miscellaneous portion of the week. Let's get to our picks of the week before we wrap this baby up. My picks of the week last week, not too good. I gave you my theory last week. This week, I'm not adhering as much to the theory as I am the game itself. So let me start in college with two games. I got Indiana is superior to Penn State, like beyond belief right now. And yet the line is 14.5. Now that line has gone from 11.5 to 14.5. So it's kind of in my theory. A lot of people are betting Indiana. They bet it up. I think Indiana covers that easily. I know it's at Penn State. Nobody cares anymore on campus. There's no whiteout factor. There's no crowd factor. I think Indiana rolls in this game, and it's the guy that really the Penn State should have hired, but Indiana beat him to it by giving him an extension. Let's stay in the Big Ten. Iowa, they're not a great team. I saw Oregon this year. I've been watching Oregon. Oregon is a superior team, and yet this is a fishy line. Iowa's at home, and they're getting 6.5. That's down from 7.5. This looks like a double digit. Oregon is double digits better than Iowa. And why is that line 6.5? So that's a fishy line. That's a line that's talking to me. I'll take the Hawkeyes. It almost seems like they upset them at 6.5. All right, let's move to the NFL. The Colts, I think they'll bounce back. That line is going from 1.5 to 6.5 versus the Falcons. I'll take the Colts. A lot of money coming in on the Colts early. And then the Rams have been bet up to -4. They once were at the 49ers a plus 1.5. They are now a 4-point favorite. So big line move on those two games. I'll take the Colts. I'll take the Rams. And in college, I'll take Indiana and Iowa. Anthony, do you have your one play for this week?
I do. And before I give it to you, Mike, I got to tell you, I really like your picks this week. I really do. I think they're all four are winners.
Oh, good. I need it all four.
I would agree with you. Like if somebody asked me, what do you think on these games? I would have picked all four the same way you picked them.
Beautiful.
So I like it. My one pick this week is the Carolina Panthers. -5.5 at home against the dreadful New Orleans Saints. And I look at the Carolina Panthers, Mike, and they had the big upset win in Green Bay last week. They've now improved to 5-4. I think Dave Canales is a really underrated coach for what he's doing with that squad because there's not a lot of talent there, and they're winning games. All of a sudden, if you beat the Saints at home this week, you're 6-4. You're in the thick of the playoff race in the NFC, which is crazy. If you would have told me that the Carolina Panthers after 10 weeks would be in the thick of the playoff race, I think this is a big win for them at home against a bad team.
I wish you a lot of luck. Two things in that front. 5.5, 5-point lines are always tough to bet on. Second of all, when you bet on a bad team, you expect bad results. I agree. I agree. That's a horse crap game to bet on.
Thanks. Thanks. I appreciate it. When mine hits and you're 1-3.
I wish you luck. I'll salute. I wish you a lot of luck. All right. That was the show for today. Thanks, everybody, for watching on YouTube. And again, we're on all the Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the podcast networks. So hopefully tell your friends and neighbors and you can stream it. Thanks to producer Matt Miro. Thanks to my co-host Anthony Sanfilippo. And thanks to everybody for watching and listening. I'm Mike Missinelli. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.